Welcome to Author. I'm here with Amy Dickinson, whose new book, The Mighty Queens of Freeville, is out from Hyperion. Really excited, too, because it's hitting the New York Times bestseller list. Yay! Amy, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you.
Well, we're sitting...
You know what? Cheers to that.
Cheers to the coffee, exactly. I'll be getting that afterwards. You know, we're sitting in the office of Carla and Barbara, the owners of Politics and Prose, and it's so nice to be here. And this is sort of your hometown, right?
This is my hometown, and this is my hometown shop. So, I mean, for me to be in Carla and Barbara's office, I'm like, ooh, I want to go through the files and see what's in there. Yeah, this is it.
This is really exciting. And this is your first book tour and your first book. So let's talk a little bit about who the Mighty Queens of Freeville are.
The Mighty Queens of Freeville is, it's real. I think of the book as really a celebration of ordinary people and everyday life. The Mighty Queens of the title are my mother and her sisters, my aunties, my sisters and me, and our daughters. It's really, I come from this large family full of women, and so this was a title my daughter jokingly sort of assigned to all of us, and we thought it was hilarious, and now of course we think it's true.
And Freeville is a little town in upstate New York, and this memoir is about how that community with these remarkable women, these queens, sustained you after a very sad divorce that left you as a single mother. But I want to emphasize this isn't a divorce memoir. Why?
Well, first of all, I want to say that divorce, you know, for me was incredibly traumatic, and I'm an advice columnist, and I get a lot of letters about divorce, and one thing I feel like I bring to my understanding of divorce is how incredibly sad it is. You know, divorce has become so commonplace that I think we diminish how painful and challenging it is. It certainly was for me. It was very sudden, and it was sort of an abandonment, and it was a repeat in some ways of what my own parents had been through. My own father left our family, and so it felt like a complete failure and the death of possibility. And the ending, I mean, I've always been very family-oriented person, so when your family ceases to be, I was completely undone. And of course, what I learned is that I am blessed to be part of a huge family, and that Emily and I, my daughter and I, we weren't dysfunctional. We were just small. Like, we were like, it was just two people instead of
micro
three.
Family.
A micro family, right.
It's a new phrase, a micro family.
And yeah, exactly. We had our own little thing going. But I just, when I was reflecting on my own experience, I realized that I learned from the women in the previous generation, and I, you know, also my older sisters, I learned how to do it. And one of the things you get to do if you have women, especially in your life, to nurture and support you, you get to cry and process it, and they will keep handing you toilet paper to blow your nose. But then I also had to assume my own responsibilities as the head of my new little micro family, and do what I could to put food on the table.
Well, that's very interesting as head of the family, because another big part of the Mighty Queens of Freeville is a sense of community, not just with your mother and her sisters and your sisters, but a sense of community in the wider world, because you move into 3 different places in this book, right. Or more, actually. I'm not even counting correctly.
Right.
So let's talk about how that sense of community engenders a spirituality and a kind of faith, because that's important to you as well.
Yeah, I wrote a chapter in this book about faith, and my publisher was very uncomfortable with it. Actually, my agent was extremely uncomfortable with it, and my own agent, suggested that it be cut. And I said to her, this is my story, and the story of this village, you know, population 458, the story of this village is not complete without the story of this church, this place of worship where we literally take communion, are in community together. And it was the only aspect of this book that I had any trouble over, and I just was very certain about it.
Look at
and I think it's a very successful chapter. I mean, I think that what I said to her was, there's this huge population of mainstream Christians and people of mainstream faith out there who have a story. We just aren't so loud about it. And what I wanted to do was talk about a sort of a mainstream Protestant community that's been going for 150 years. And this is how we do it. And I call it the community of faith and casseroles, because a lot of it involves eating.
Eating. I want to encourage everyone out there to buy the book, to read Making Peanut Jesus, because this really is the chapter that will capture your heart. Now, that, of course, is about Sunday school and about Emily, your wonderful daughter. Tell us, we have to hear about her now, because we follow her all the way through. And she must be an incredible young woman.
She is amazing. And I've done a lot of book readings, and people often ask me about Emily. And twice now on book tour, I've been asked about her, and I said, well, let's give her a shout, shall we? And I call her on the phone, and I put her on the mic. And the first thing is, she takes my calls. The kid still takes my calls. She's 20 years old. She's a sophomore in college. Delightful.
That's wonderful.
She's great.
And does she have any plans for writing?
She is an English major. We come from a long line of, underemployed English majors, and she is an English major, and I couldn't be happier.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of English majors, what about you? What comes next? You've written this book. You're having great success. You're getting great reviews.
Yeah.
Yay, Amy.
Yay.
So.
You. I am writing another book. Well, I will be writing another book. And my publisher has asked me for a second book. So I will be writing, I think, a childhood memoir. Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So Amy Dickinson, who is Ask Amy, we all know that. The Mighty Queens of Freeville is her first book. It's a wonderful memoir about family, faith, community, and trust, and knowing that things will turn out all right. And it's from Hyperion. Amy, thanks a lot for being here with the Book Studio.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.